Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
It's Friday.
Yes,
Go Dragons.
exactly.
Today is November 8th. I'm here today to talk with Dr. Robinson about some things going on in the district.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
First of all, today's Parents as Teachers Day.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Parents as Teachers.
Well, super program. Anytime we can make connections with families at an early age and start building those relationships and make sure that we have, and really maybe identify kids that may need a little extra help before they get into school, so that when they start school as a kindergartner or whenever, they're ready to go.
Sure.
And so, just an absolutely great program. I know we've got two really good educators in that program right now, and they do a tremendous job and have had to work through all the difficulties when we had COVID and trying to figure out how to get and meet and do all these different things. And I feel like we're kind of back to where we can get back in homes and do things and all that again. But yeah, it just a superb program. I mean, I even look back to my own kids, and one of ours, we thought he had some speech issues. We're able to get him involved in speech, and then he was able to do that before he ever even started school. And then we were able to within a year or two of him starting, he was out of the program. And that's one of those things that had we waited till kindergarten, that might have been third, fourth grade.
Sure.
Maybe we had habits that were already starting to become permanent, and so
Affecting reading and things
yeah,
like that.
exactly. So yeah, you can't. It's a great program, like I said.
Awesome.
Just builds that first connection between school and home, and I love it. So.
And that is Mary Bradford and Carrie Whitaker.
Carrie Whitaker.
They're kind of our
They do.
leaders of that program.
Housed at Parkview and always open. I mean, I don't know how global this will be, but
Sure, yeah.
we're always looking for, like I said, to try to get into the homes as much as we can.
Sure.
And try to help people.
Yeah.
So.
And they could get involved in that if they're interested in getting involved. How would a parent?
I would say they probably need to contact somebody at the elementary school,
level.
and we put flyers out. We try to get it out to the hospitals, doctors' offices,
Sure.
the WIC offices, all those, just because it is so important. Like I said, if we can identify a kid that maybe needs a little extra help,
Sure.
or just even give support to a family,
Right.
that. Hey, I'm struggling with potty training. I'm struggling with some discipline. I'm struggling with, just some behavior, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
We can offer those different resources. How do I build more of a relationship with my kid? How do I do some play that we can both enjoy and
Sure.
do these things? So there's a lot of positives to it.
It also
like I
then
said.
builds those connections with the school. And,
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, anytime we can get them involved sooner.
Oh, yeah.
Interventions.
And there's a lot of neat stuff they do. They have, some different nights and different events, and then that just ties them to the school a little bit more. They're invited to a lot of our other things, and
Awesome.
we've got a nice committee of people that help with some of those, and nice community-oriented committee, and so good thing, and I'm glad they have their day.
Yeah,
so.
me too. Thank you to both of them. It's also STEM Day, and you and I were just kind of chatting briefly a little bit before, and you mentioned that Project Lead the Way programs start as early as third grade.
Yeah, they do, and so we're doing
that.
Project Lead the Way, and we're doing, which is what I consider a STEM program. That's a pretty, the scientific rigor in that is really good,
Yes.
and so that's something we do all the way till really 3rd through 8th grade. It's kind of a part of our curriculum, and then we get to high school. Obviously, you can be a part of our kind of the biomed, which do that part of it, which you can get involved in HOSA, and you have all types of opportunities through that.
Great programs.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it's been a couple years ago, but I was actually at Texas Roadhouse in St. Joe, and I had a student come up to me, and he was talking about how much stuff they did, and how much he was ready for his nursing program when he got to Missouri Western, because he had already completed all these things, and he was like, some of these labs, he said, we were doing as juniors and seniors. He said, I did as a freshman and sophomore in class. So, that he is
great
like,
preparation.
Yeah, it is. And so that, and we also have, that's a whole big thing, STEM, science, technology, and, all that, the technology part, we have a whole computer engineering classes that we're trying to do. And the way of the world is not probably going to go back.
No.
And so,
Not technology.
No, not technology. And so, we've, that's going to continue to develop.
Sure.
And so those kids need to learn that,
Right.
and whether it be cybersecurity, whether it be programming, whether it be any number of things.
Yes.
That's huge. And
Yes.
then, I would even say with the arts program we have here at Cameron, whether it be, musical arts, whether it be the art programs, I would almost call that a STEAM program because we have such great art, just art overall, like I said. I mean, when you go to some of the art shows and you see some of the art, and you see how our kids are competing in other competitions.
I say this all the time, that kids today are so much more artistic than we were. We were drawing stick figures and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. Obviously we see some of the artwork when they bring it over for the that we get to have in the building and for the board meetings.
Yeah,
and
Mrs.
like
Lever was just here yesterday.
Oh,
actually,
okay. There you go.
She had to take some stuff away because of some programs that they have coming up.
Oh,
that they want
gotcha.
to put stuff at, but she promised she'd bring some things back.
Yeah, so I think even with that, and then obviously with our fine arts program, whether it be instrumental or just musical in general, and just all of that, I'd almost say we have one of the best STEAM programs around. Well, just because we have such a focus on all that stuff.
Agreed.
So.
Yep, very good. So those are these days.
Mm-hmm.
Monday is Veterans Day.
Yes.
So this morning I got to go out to the CIS, Cameron Intermediate School, and they were having a breakfast for veteran family members. And so I got to talk with some of them and thank them for their service. And that was pretty cool. Speaking of Veterans Day, Monday is a no school day.
It is.
And a teacher in service. So we're working with some teachers on things.
Yeah, obviously it's a day, we're doing a lot of stuff today, trying to do some of the veteran stuff. It works out with kind of how we set up our calendar, for the year with our PD days. And so we obviously have professional development on Monday, but I don't think it's any reason just because we're not in school to go thank a veteran or to do those different things.
Sure.
And obviously we had, the breakfast this morning. I know we're talking about it in classes. We're going to have, a program here in a couple weeks with the patriotic concert at the high school. I know it's another big date, but December 7th, usually the middle school kind of does their concert, and kind of that also happens to be the remembrance of Pearl Harbor, the day that will live in infamy. And so, that was actually the day that our middle school kids moved in 2015, and it happened to be on December 7th, so we kind of tied in that kind of, that part of it with the celebration. So we've kind of, I should say the celebration. Well, the celebration of moving in the building, it was our first day in classes.
Yes.
And then the remembrance of Pearl Harbor. And so we kind of tie those two a little bit together on that day. And that's
great historical
correlation.
It
is. And a lot of people don't know the history with all the schools and the veterans, but effectively that was all donated, including the old high school, the high school that we have now, or the middle school, the intermediate, really all the way up to Parkview and the golf course. All that was donated veterans land. And so there was a family, I think something happened to their son in a war, and so they had donated some of that land, and obviously the golf course became what it is, and that's Cameron Veterans.
Yes.
And then when I was in Cameron, my first year was 2011, and so they still had the ball field in setting where kind of where the
I played ball there.
Yeah, the middle school is. But the ball field was really never effective. It wasn't big enough. You kind of had the short left field.
It was mostly t-ball.
Yeah. I remember doing a lot of practice football when my kids were playing youth football and all that. So so we actually went to the veterans in the community and to the Legion and started talking and having conversations. And so that's how we got that land. They gifted that land to us for our middle school. And so, as if they haven't done enough, they gifted it. And so we put in a few provisions. We put the nice fence there. We actually named the building after them. So the Cameron Veterans Middle School, that's how it actually got its name. And then there's actually a display case when you walk in. And there's actually a small one in between the two, kind of the old activity, I shouldn't say old activity entrance. The activity entrance we built in 2015, that was kind of between the high school and middle school entrance, which is now, we've got another one in front of that for the performing arts.
Right.
But we had a display case in there, and we still have it. We're trying to add a little bit more. So if you do have some artifacts or something, we'd like to be able to put stuff in there. But that's actually also where our high school is going to be having their wall of honor. And I'm really excited about that project.
I was going to ask you about that, so tell me what you kind of know.
Yeah, so we're going to be trying to honor all those former students who went into the armed services, whether it be Army, Navy, you name it, to National Guard, Reserves, everything. And so we'd like to put your name, your underneath, if it's Army or Navy or whatever it is, your name and your class. and we've got all the armed forces up there. We think it's a great way. It looks really sharp, and conceptually, there's a big American flag kind of draped in the back, and then all of the different services with the kind of the black and the gold for the Army, and the blue and the white for the Navy, and the reds and stuff for the Marines. And so as you go across, it's going to look really, really sharp. I'm excited. We've just started getting that survey out, but we're looking for our Cameron. So please share it when you do see it, because we're looking for any of those people. We obviously know there's people that have passed away, that maybe they graduated in the 40s, 50s, whatever it may be. In some situations, I know we're looking for a graduating class, but I know in some situations, they might have been called to service before they ever graduated high school. And so, which is hard to believe, and so we want to make sure that those people are honored as well. Even if they weren't a Cameron graduate, hey, they went in service, but they did their,
they did their years here.
They did their years here. Yeah. And so, I'm excited about it. I like I said, I've seen the conceptual drawing. I think we have such a tie to the veterans already with the veterans building out, as you head towards the airport, and just the services we offer out there. And, we have Cameron Veterans Middle School, and we do all the different pieces. And I've never been in a community this tied to veterans as Cameron, and I think it's fantastic.
It's a very cool thing.
It is really cool. It's something this town and community should be very proud of.
Yes, yeah. And we can easily become complacent in not recognizing and thinking about those things, and it's good to have.
Well, even the Veterans Memorial, obviously in the school, but right there by our schools, and how gorgeous that looks all the time, and just take a walk up there and just see it. It's meaningful, even in the fountain in front of the middle school or the high school.
Yes.
For a classmate who had passed away in Vietnam, and to know that his class is still, thinks about him and does all that. It's just, like I said,
everybody knows somebody.
Everybody
has a family
does.
member, a friend, or a friend's family member that they know, that they have that connection with. That kind of leads me in when we're talking about old graduated classes and things like that. This week, November 6th, marked the 100th year of our dragon mascot.
Oh, that's cool.
So I did some research this week and dug up some old articles from 1924.
Yeah.
I was able to talk to Jim O'Connor, who's kind of our Cameron football expert. Gave me some information and a little booklet that he'd made in 2013.
Okay.
I got to see the 1910 football field. And, the one in 2013 when he wrote the book is very similar to today, but we've had some upgrades since then, but mostly recognizable as today's football field. And so, pretty cool. It's 100 years, it's a century of having a dragon.
The mascots changed over the years. You have to drive down Walnut to see all the different mascots that have been used over the time. I mean, obviously we have the one we've used now for almost 20 years now. I think that's something that we'll probably look at a refresh. It's been 20 years, and I think that's a couple generations that have went through, and so let's look at maybe something else.
Start some conversations.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if there's something else that is going to excite the community, is going to excite the kids that are in school now. Because I think that's something that you probably had a mascot when you were a graduate of here that you remember, and I think there's always going to be that tie. It's not uncommon to change a mascot or to look at those different things, and so I think it's something we probably actually need to kind of look at.
Sure. And I agree 100%. Just looking even at the newspapers from 1924, it was very clear that students voted on what they wanted, and they had investment. They bought into that, and I certainly think that getting the community and the students and the staff involved in what does a dragon embody to you? What are the characteristics? Not necessarily physical, but what does it embody? Which can also be a physical thing as well. So I think that would be fun. A point had been brought up that it's been 100 years without a name, other than sometimes kids will name themselves. So maybe during this process we could talk about a name. What would that be? So
no, I mean, you have Casey Wolf, you have Truman the Tiger, you have
Bobby the Bearcat.
Bobby the Bearcat. Yeah, exactly. So you have your mascot names, and I think people do associate. I mean, obviously we're just rattling off those. I mean, so I think
might be something fun to incorporate.
I would agree. That'd be kind of neat.
Okay.
So
well, that's really pretty much all I have as far as questions and talking about that way. But I think something we've been working on, or kind of talking about, was mentioned at last month's school board meeting, is kind of a long-range plan for facilities, improvements and upgrades and things like that. So tell me a little bit about what's kind of on the docket for that.
Well, I think since I've been here in 2011, it's been a goal of mine to make sure that our facilities, I want everything to be top notch. I want to be a district others want to emulate. That has been my goal. That was what I told the board when I interviewed back in 2010, that we're going to be a district others want to emulate. And I still believe that. And I think we got a little behind in some facilities, and I think we've caught up quickly. And we've done a lot of nice things, but those nice things are because we want our students to have the best. We want our staff to have the best. We want our schools to be safe. And so we've done improvements to make schools safer, from the triple gate securities to all those, just even redoing some doors and things like that so that it's not so easy. But we've also tried to make sure we have facilities that when our kids leave, that they're as good or better than what they're going to encounter, whether they go to college or the real world or whatever it may be.
Sure.
And so, like I said, I think we're in a constant sense of improvement. And we're going to be in that again. And so we're looking at that. I shared some information way back in March, and then I've shared it again this summer. We actually had LG Harder Bonding Company come talk to our board. We're able to do some refunding, actually save about $2 million in taxpayer money, which is always a good thing with some of the things we're going to be able to do.
Yes.
But they also talked about where we're at for bonding capacity, which, if we were to do a bond in this April of 25, we have about $11 million capable that we could do for that project. And so if we waited a year, we'll have about $13 million. So if we waited until 2026, $13 million would be on the table. And that's without having a tax increase. That is debt that's been coming off as we pay it off. And so really this would be like extending your debt. I don't want to fool people and say that your taxes probably are not going to go up because we're doing this bond. We should be able to maintain taxes, especially I always say that with a little bit of grain of salt because I don't always know what's going to happen to assessed value. And so taxes may go up 2 or 3 cents, but our debt service levy of 99 cents would not change.
Okay.
And so, there is always a chance.
Is it kind of like a refinance, or how
Well,
is
really
that?
what you're just doing is you're adding like, hey, we decided to add a wing on our house and we're going to pay for it for 5 more years. Instead of paying off our mortgage in 2025, we're going to pay off our mortgage in 2030 because we decided to add this big addition to our house.
Gotcha.
And so that's how I look at a bond issue. Now, your payment's not going to change. You're going to pay the same amount of payment, but you're just extending the debt a little bit.
Okay.
But that's really the only way we have as a means of raising money. I can't go fundraise millions of dollars in Cameron.
Right.
And smaller schools would even have more of a trouble.
Yes.
Even in North Kansas City couldn't do what they need to do when they're running $140 million bond issues. They're not able to go fundraise $140 million.
Sure.
Now, we're not to that point. We're not talking that. But, so this is our only means of raising funds to be able to do the improvements that we need. And I think we do need some improvements. We're looking at a couple different projects, and these right now are Matt Robinson projects. These are, this is what the board has asked Matt, what we can do.
Taking inventory of the entire district, what needs to be done.
Exactly. We've done a lot of new improvements to the high school. Obviously the PAC, we've pretty well redid the whole gymnasium. Where the band, the choir, some of those classrooms are, those were all done in 2005, 2006. They're not even 20 years old. We pretty much have gutted the science classrooms, redid all the science classrooms. We tore down the north wing, pretty much what I would almost call a vocational center with FACS and ag up there.
Right.
But we have issues where the old library is, all the way down through the whole south wing. That was built, I think, opened in '64. That building took quite a while to get passed to get the money to do that. It was built fairly cheap. That's what they had. And honestly, for us to go in and do new roofs, new HVAC, and to do all the things we need to do, probably new windows, which I didn't even include in our other estimates, you're probably $1.5 million to $2 million that you're going to spend to
On the
renovate.
1964 building.
Yeah, 1964 concrete and built, like I said, the windows are the outer wall. There is no,
I remember it's cold.
Yeah, you've only got a couple inches of maybe insulation from 1964 that you're doing something with. So that area we need to look at.
And it sounds like it's not just a physical building,
Yeah.
safety and things like that were going to need to be done.
Yeah.
So as I understand it, the option then is to maybe demolish that portion, your vision is, and build on near to that location.
I think we could, and that way we could continue classes. Kind of like the last disruption was a disruption. We knew it was going to be. When you're having to tear out and get science hallways and classrooms and all of that, we had to have kids go around for a little bit and do all those different things. But this is I have a vision of where I think we could put it. I don't know, and totally dealing with the architect if we can actually do that.
Sure.
But that way we can maintain some of our classes without having to disrupt on a totally global scale too much.
Sure.
And then once you get everybody in the classes, then you come back and you can tear down the rest of the building without actually having to disrupt where you're at in classes now.
And parking and things like
that.
Yeah,
parking and all the different pieces.
Sure.
So,
okay.
So
that's one project.
That's one project that I think we need to do, and that would get our high school, up to snuff for years to come. And so one of the other projects is we've done some roof improvements, roof repair at Parkview, but we really probably need to do something. And it's one of those projects you really need to do it at one time. We've kind of done different pieces, and actually when we did the high school project, we did a lot of new roofing projects there, and so that's one of those pieces. The middle school is obviously newer. We've had a couple issues there, but we've tried to fix some of those areas. But the roof itself is not failing. We've had some leaks and different things like that we've tried to identify, but as a whole, the roof is fine, and same thing with intermediate school. Now both those would obviously be something in the future, but I think immediate need would be Parkview. We need to look at that project and see what we need to do with that. I think one of the other things that we really probably could use, I think would be kind of nice, is an early childhood center where we could have all of our preschool, which when we started that program with one classroom, now we're up to 3.
Yes.
We have early childhood special ed. It would be nice to be able to have all of our littles in one building, kind of have their own little space, their own maybe little playground, indoor, outdoor type situation.
Yes.
So we bought the ball fields, that are south of Parkview now. That gives us some space that we could, get close to either Parkview or put down there, or however we wanted to do it. I think that's almost 10 plus acres down there, and so we thought that was a good investment when we bought that, to have something. It actually worked out well for the city. I think it's worked out well for us, and now it gives us the flexibility to do some things over there.
Yeah.
And so that early childhood center is something I think could be, something we need in the future. It gives us a little bit more room for growth, or if we ever want to reconfigure grades or do something like that. We have that space available now.
Sure.
And so I think it's a huge positive if we could do something like that.
And did I understand your long-range planning is you're kind of looking to take us up to about the year 2040? Is that?
I really would. I'd like to. Obviously, I will not be here in 2040, but I'd like to have at least a plan. For like, hey, we're going to have this much money available at this point in time. We're going to have these things available.
Right.
The middle school turned 10 years old. And so you're looking at 10 years, and you're probably going to have to redo the roof. You may have to redo some of the fixtures. You may have to I'd say I don't think carpet's going to last another 10 years. So all those things are things that and just the wear and tear. I don't think people understand the wear and tear in a building all the time when hundreds of kids are walking every day.
Yeah.
And so, and they're just like kids like in my house, and they run their hands down the walls, and they, and
times
so
100 for each
exactly.
wing.
So there's always repainting and redoing, and there's always wear and tear. There's never a shortage of job security for maintenance and custodial. I can guarantee it. But that again, that we go back to like the early childhood, we go back to the roof, we go back to the high school. There's I would love to see us have ball fields that mimic. I think we have a great, football, soccer, track complex.
Yes.
I would love, for our, we were able to redo our tennis courts this year,
Yes.
get really what I consider almost professional tennis courts.
Yeah.
For
That
our
include badminton lines, from what I understand, or pickleball. That's what
Pickleball,
pickleball.
yep.
Yes, I can't believe it.
pickleball lines.
Yeah.
So we're able to put those on there for the community to be able to use. And so, again, this is not my money. This is the community's money. And so anytime we can have the community come in and do things,
Yes.
I think it's great. And I think, if we were able to do something with our ball fields, I think we would look at, doing something where we could turf the infields. There's a lot of space in the outfields. I don't think people realize how big a baseball outfield is.
Right.
It's bigger than a football field, and so a lot of schools don't turf that area, but they do
Yes.
turf the infield. But I mean, but besides rainouts where you have lightning,
Actual
rainouts.
storms.
Yeah, you're going to limit your rainouts to almost none, and then that could be used in the community as well. I mean, hey, it's going to rain in June. I think June actually is the wettest month in Missouri. So
Right.
you have those where we're not using them. Let's let our community go use
Yeah,
some
sure,
of those facilities.
Sure.
If that's going to be,
ball with travel ball.
yeah,
could
I mean,
they-
just some of those different pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we want to make them nice. We want to keep them nice, but youth football plays on our fields. They practice on our fields sometimes. They play on it. Our field's been used numerous times with other schools
Sure.
because of
If marching bands, collegiate marching bands come in.
collegiate
and use
marching
it.
bands. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons that I'm so happy about March Fest is
Yeah.
that you're not going to tear that field up per se. I mean, you can get some wear patterns and stuff, but we also have machines that we can go
Yes.
brush it back.
Yes. Yeah.
I think
So
it's just another thing we could give back to the community that is good for our kids and the community. And we have other projects that I think we'll put on the list, like our maintenance sheds. They're getting to their lifetime, so we're gonna have to come up with some answers there. I would love to have the buses closer to us, so if we ever have to dismiss school in a heartbeat for an emergency or whatever we have to do,
Sure.
the buses are there. We're not having to have buses, come across town,
Yes.
and who knows what that situation looks like. But
Right.
if they're close to school, we've already got that. Do I think they have a good facility? They do, but could they be beneficial if they had one or two more bays so that if they have a bus that's broke down, they've got another bay that they can go in and fix a light in the winter or fix something real quickly and get a bus out because another bus is, sitting in there for a little bit.
Right.
I think it's great. So I mean,
I'm going to ask you a question on that. Just kind of a hypothetical. If we were to get it closer, where could we put the bus barn?
well, I think that again looks at, that property south of the Parkview with 10 acres.
Yes.
Do we need 3 ball fields or do we only need 2? Do we need, I think, is there space over there where we could put something like
Sure.
that? I mean, I think that's one of the things we could look at.
Talk about.
Talk
Sure.
about, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
One of the things when we built the middle school, we knew we were pretty much tying the campus was all going to be at that location.
Yes.
And I think it's great, and it's especially good for like traveling teachers or staff that need to move around or whatever. And I think it's great for convenient for parents. At the same time, it also landlocks us.
Yes.
We're not going to be taking parts of the park, and so we pretty much, that's the other reason we looked at that 10 acres was okay. The parks could do this, and they could use their stuff out there.
Right.
Same time, I need some space around us forever, if we ever have future growth or whatever it may be.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these plans kind of will account for what we anticipate will be growth within the district, upgrades to technology which changes at the speed of light,
Oh, it
stuff
does.
like that.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, we're pretty much on the tip of the iceberg, scratching it type scale.
Yes.
On what these will all encompass, because I mean, we haven't got to the point where we know what our room's going to look like, or
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of neat things that I could, I envision we could do. I mean,
Right.
if I would love to see, and I know high schools have it, but like, we're trying to teach some of our life skills students, to build more independent, and self-sufficient. And so, I've seen other schools where they kind of, set up rooms where, kids learn how to make beds and do a little bit of cooking.
Kind of like a mock apartment.
Yeah,
or something
and we've set up like a small kitchen area in one of the locker rooms over at the intermediate school, and so that we can have students go over there and do some of that. But I mean, just like a mock house. I mean, obviously we're not talking a big or just a mock space where kids can practice on some of those different things and do some things like that. I think would be so. As we get further, I get excited about some of the possibilities about thinking about. Not what we're doing now, but what could education look like in 20 years?
Well, and that begs the question, it's November already.
Mm-hmm.
So if we decide, that's a relatively short period of time for us to decide, one, if we want to move forward with a no tax bond increase. Two, then what do those projects look like? And we've talked about what we probably need to start with is just some information, a survey.
And we've obviously kind of worked on that a little bit. And we will be sending that out here shortly, just because we do want some of that information. I'd love to be able to share that with the board at our November 19th meeting. And just share some of the information. And so that will be coming out. So we do ask that you fill that out, give us some input on.
And this is going to go to parents and families?
Parents, families, staff. We'd like to see what kind of the community thinks. We're not separating the two, any of the categories. We're just going to lump it all together. But we would love to get some input. I mean, obviously, like I said, the community is going to pay for this. They're paying it with their taxes. That they're probably going to get their tax bill here in the next week or so. And that they pay. And so, again, this is not Matt's money. This is our community's money. So let's get some input and find out. I think they've always had a lot of trust in the school. We've been able to do 2 really nice projects with our middle school and all the improvements we did at the high school. But we're going to ask for their approval here in the next year or 2 years again. And I want to know that they think they have input, like that input is valued. And so and we've always went out. I mean, there's been ideas that I've had before that they didn't fly. But you know what?
You and I are not going to have the same opinion on everything.
But if I can get 80% well above, then that means the community likes that idea. And that's why I keep saying it's not Matt's idea, because I've had ideas before and that's not how it always worked out. But you know what? People love our projects. And that might not have been exactly how Matt would have did it, but if that's what the community wants, that's what we're going to do. So
within my first week here, I had community members asking me, "Hey, can we go use the new pickleball courts?" And I said, let me make sure that that's okay." And absolutely, unequivocally, it was if nobody's there using it for the school district, then it is for certain for community to use that. So it really isn't just a project for us. It is a community project. So
exactly.
I think
schools are tied to their community, and communities are definitely tied to their schools. And so that relationship has to continue to exist. And so we're excited about that. There's obviously another survey that we sent out that we've put out for this. Will be the 3rd year in a row that we've taken pretty much the DESE Survey. And it gives us good input on just overall school climate, culture, those different pieces. And so we take that information, look at it, how can we improve, what can we do? And but both those surveys, and then actually this kind of be the pre-winter of surveys, because we'll actually probably send something out in December, about kind of the calendar for next year. It's crazy to think, because we're just now starting 2nd quarter, but honestly, as I've told a lot of people, and a lot of people know, I start flipping that switch about December. It gets about halfway, and by January, it's almost
looking ahead.
I'm almost thinking solely about next year. Like we're thinking about PD, we're thinking about calendar, we're thinking about insurance benefits.
When is homecoming coming?
When is homecoming? When is we're thinking about salaries. We're thinking about all these different pieces that I have to have in place that between here and by April I've got to have done. And so and then if there's all the projects we're trying to do for the summer, anymore with contractors, I'm trying to get that information out by December, January, so that we can get projects right on the books for and there's always a list of projects. I mean, I could almost budget $100,000 in concrete every summer and just upkeep and repair. I mean, between roads that need fixed, between sidewalks that need repair, between front porch stoops like at Parkview or wherever, the entrance at CIS, all these different things. I mean, that's stuff that if I don't start getting on the books, and you know, we're not going to get them done.
Right.
You know,
And then suddenly you've got a
always-
problem that might become a worse problem.
Well, exactly, because I don't need tripping hazards. I don't need a place where we're having more water pool,
Yes.
or, you know, and it is amazing how fast these things book up, especially with, you know, how in demand contractors are, which great for them.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
bad for us looking for those different jobs to
Right.
get done.
And so having the responsibility to identify those
Yeah.
things, you know, ahead of time, and then also look forward to improvement projects as well,
Yeah.
while still taking care of things that have to be taken
Oh,
care of,
exactly.
is I'm sure a full-time job. So.
Oh, it's a lot of it, and it's something I enjoy. You
Yeah.
know, I like being out. I like seeing the kids. I like, you know, but I like seeing that our kids have, you know, the best they can have.
Yes.
And that's what I've always strived for. I want our teachers and our staff and our kids and our community to be very, very proud of our schools. I got to, you know, go to what few volleyball games we had at home this year,
Yes.
with when we reopened the gym, and hearing, you know, we hosted districts this year, and hearing, you know, people from Maryville talk about, you know, our new bleachers, or how the gym looks.
Yes.
Or, you know, hearing somebody, I think it was from Savannah, when somebody was there, and they were talking about, this looks like a brand new gym, and effectively it is.
Yeah.
You know,
It's beautiful.
but you know, but I want that in every building. I want
Right.
that, you know, everybody to be proud of what we have, and
Sure.
And like I said, I hope they are, because
Yes.
I'm very proud of what we're willing to do at Cameron, and
Yeah.
and continue to do.
I
So,
agree, and I know it's not new news, but the PAC, I still marvel
Oh,
at
yeah.
the beauty of it, and the way it sounds when the band is in there, or when we have, you know, award ceremonies
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever. It's just such a great facility. So
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we get another big musical next week.
yes,
That'll be neat.
Yes.
You know, maybe not. It's a Disney musical. At the same time, it might be not as mainstream, but at the same time, it's a really good musical. Newsies. I would encourage you to get your tickets. I
Yes.
think you'll really enjoy it. And,
yes,
and quite honestly, the kids just deserve to be recognized,
They
and that's
do.
why. You
so
know, I
much
mean,
work.
last year was so packed, and it was great, and I loved it for our kids. And
Frozen, is that what
Yeah,
you're
Frozen,
yes.
yeah. And I'd love to see that again, because like I said,
Me
those
too.
kids work so hard from September, August, when they start doing auditions,
Yes,
from till now. I want to see them get the recognition they deserve, and
right,
you know, the staff that work with them get the recognition they deserve. It's not,
absolutely.
you know, all of our staff do a great job, whether it be in the classroom, whether it be outside the classroom.
Right.
You know, they're not. Nobody's becoming millionaires.
Right.
You know, but they do
They're
it
not
because
doing it for
they
that,
do it
yeah.
because they love what they do,
Yes.
and they like kids,
Yes,
and that's what I love about that.
yes,
And
me too.
to be able to give, you know, the fine arts program that building and that facility is tremendous, because like I said, it's another part that just makes our kids complete
Yes.
and whole.
Yep.
So
Yep. It just takes everybody, and the facilities are part of that
Mhm.
process. So I'm looking forward to gathering some of that information about what people think about the facilities projects, or possible facilities
Yeah,
projects.
exactly.
And looking forward to seeing the Newsies. It's Friday, Saturday evening at 7, and Sunday afternoon at 3, I
yes.
believe.
Mhm.
And at the PAC. Did you have anything else you want to add?
I think that's it. I
Okay.
think that's it. So I
Great.
appreciate it.
Well, thank you for
Hey.
meeting with me today,
Not a
and
problem.
hopefully we can do this a little bit
I
more
hope
often.
so. Yeah, that'd be
Put some
nice to do this a
information
couple
out.
times a month.
I'd
So.
love it. Very
Yeah.
good. All right.